All right, let's begin from verse um, verse 12. And forgive us our debts as we forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Can you see that? So this verse has been explained yesterday. So I'll move to verse 13. And lead us not into temptation. Lead us not into temptation. So, like I said yesterday, the first statement in the Lord's Prayer, the first statement Jesus made while he was showing them how to pray was the key statement. So, in order to explain every other statement, you will need to keep referring to the key statement. And so in every, for every statement, there are key statements. Or in every statement, there is a key statement. Are you there? So it is that key statement that you will use to open up the other statements. So the key statement in this is our Father who art in heaven. And that was the first statement Jesus made. So the next thing he said is, hallowed be thy name. So it means we have a God in heaven. He is our Father. His name should be hallowed. Thy kingdom come. This our Father in heaven has a kingdom that must come to earth. Thy will be done in earth as it is done in heaven. So this our Father also has a will that must be established on earth because it has already been established in heaven. Can you see that? So every other statement Jesus was now making was mirroring the key statement that he made, while he was teaching them how to pray. And the key statement was, our Father who art in heaven. You have to take note of that. Now, verse 12, verse 11, it says, give us this day our daily bread. So that our Father that is in heaven is a giver. He has bread that he gives. Well, when we talk of bread here, it's not the physical bread. Do you understand? There are two kinds of bread that he has. He has the daily bread and he has the living bread. The functions are not the same. They do not function the same way, although they come from the same source, but they do not function the same way. The daily bread is for the sustenance of the body, and then the living bread is to sustain the spirit. You understand? So this our Father in heaven is a giver. So that was why Jesus said they should ask that he should give them their daily bread. So meaning this our Father in heaven, because he is a giver, then it will not be wrong to ask from him. If he is not a giver, then asking him things can be a sin. But because he is a giver, to ask is not a sin. It is actually something that he expects us to do. Now, if you go to verse 12, I need to do this summary before I go into the teaching. Verse 12, the Bible now says, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. So the fact that this our Father in heaven can forgive, because that's another thing this verse is talking about now. Are you there? So you see, that key statement, our Father who art in heaven, is what the other statements are explaining. So now we know that our Father in heaven can forgive. And obviously, because he can forgive, we know logically speaking that If he can forgive, then he can be offended, because there's no need to ask for forgiveness from somebody that cannot be offended. Now, I'm not saying he can keep offense. It's not the same thing. That's why the word of the Lord is very sensitive, especially when you are documenting things, when you are writing things, when you are jotting things. You must ensure you write what is said, what is being said. You must discern the emphasis. You must lay hold on the spirit of the letter to jot. Otherwise, you'll be writing things, and what you are writing will be death. So, this our Father in heaven can be offended. It's not the same thing as can keep offense. Are we together? For example, yesterday I was correcting, one of our beloved people, you know, who actually made some mistakes while jotting. I was now telling the person that if I say that he can be offended, no, now let me give you an example, because I just want I want to tell you this so that you can learn some things. Now they wrote, the person said he can keep offense. Meanwhile, the person was judging from what I said yesterday. And I said, no, this one is wrong. Are you there? If you say he can keep offense, that is that's like you are blaspheming against God. But he can keep offense and he can be offended. It's not the same thing. Are we together? Keeping offense could speak of a bitter heart. Keeping offense could speak of an unforgiving heart. The fact that somebody can be offended does not mean he's keeping offense. So if you want to know the one that is keeping offense, you will check from the ability to forgive. So although our Father in heaven can be offended, meaning you can wrong him, you can disobey him, you can displease him. That's what it means. And then the way God functions is this: God forgives the sinner before the sinner commits the sin. That's God's mode of operation. God forgives the sinner before the sinner commits the sin. So you can't say he keeps offense. Are you there? So moreover, I never said that anyway. Praise God. So sometimes you can be listening to a teaching and you are hearing what the preacher is not saying. Are you there? That's why you have to be very careful. You don't just hear what the person is saying. You hear to come into the spirit of the letter. So there's a position you must maintain in the spirit as you follow teachings. You don't just hear carnally. That's why when you begin to listen to teachings, you don't get yourself distracted. You are listening to teaching, you are doing this, you are doing that, you are there talking to this person. You will miss it. At the end of the day, you will say, well, I have listened to the teaching, but you have missed something. Because at the end of the day, to be clear that you were only able to hold on to the letters, but you have missed the spirit of the law. Are we together? So the fact that we can ask for forgiveness from this our Father in heaven already shows that he can be offended. Are you there? So, and because he can be offended, then we have to be careful of what we do. Because if we go against his will, we are going to displease him. The Bible says, without faith, it will be impossible to please God. Are we together? So he says, and forgive us our debt. So he can be offended. And when we offend him, we can ask for forgiveness. We can receive forgiveness. Because although that sin is new to us, are you there? But to him, the provision is not when you sin that God begins to make provision for forgiveness. No, he had already forgiven you. As a matter of fact, the sins that your children and your children's children, as if Jesus has not come anyway, will commit, the sins they will commit, the sins that seventh generation after us will commit, has already been forgiven. Are you there? That's it. God doesn't react, he actually proact. Proacting means his action is before the action. Do you get it? So reaction is it happened, then you are now looking for. That's reaction. But proaction is you have already prepared before the action. So by the time the action happened, you are not trying to find a way of dealing with it. You have dealt with it far, either long before it happened. Are we together? So he can be offended. And when we offend him, we ask for forgiveness. Are we together? Aha. Now, this is it. When we ask for forgiveness, he forgives us. So when people also ask for forgiveness from us, we should forgive them. Because if we don't, we become the debtor. The person that has come to you to apologize is no longer a debtor because he has paid his own quota as the offender. It is the responsibility of the offender to um, to seek for forgiveness. So when the offender now seeks for forgiveness and the one that is offended refuses to forgive, who is now at fault? The one at fault now is the one that is offended. So the one that is at fault now becomes the debtor. For example, if I offend Sister A and I go to Sister A to say, okay, Sister, I'm very sorry for what I did. I'm very, very sorry. Of course, because I offended her, I'm the debtor. What am I owing her? I'm owing her my apology, my sincere apology, my submission. So I go to her, I'm sorry for what I did. I, I acknowledge that what I did was wrong. Please forgive me. The moment I do that sincerely, I'm not talking about insincere apology, I'm talking about sincere one now. The moment I do that sincerely, I have paid my quota. So I'm no longer a debtor. Although I was the offender, because I have paid my quota by apologizing sincerely, I am no longer the debtor. So by paying my quota, I am no longer the debtor. So if the person I offended now says, I will never forgive you, this, though he was the one, or she was the one that was offended, she will now become the debtor. So I am now, me the offender, I'm righteous because I have paid my quota. Now the one that is offended is unrighteous now because he or she has not paid his quota. That's what many people do not know. The one that is a debtor is the one that is unrighteous. The one that is no longer a debtor is the one that is righteous. So many times you can start by being blameless. And because you are too rigid, you end up becoming guilty. That's what I used to tell people. You have to be sensitive. In the beginning of a matter, you may be guiltless. But there's a way you will handle the matter that at the end, you will now be full of guilt. So you must learn to forgive for your own good. Many of us are debtors. We are unrighteous. Because the people that did something bad to us, they have come to us sincerely to apologize. But we are not paying our quota, which is to respond to them with forgiveness. So everyone that does not know how to forgive is a debtor. And everyone that is a debtor in that context is unrighteous. So there are many offenders that are righteous now because they paid their quota, which is to sincerely apologize. And there are many offended people who have now become unrighteous because they held on to the pain and refused to forgive, which has now made them a debtor. And there's no way you can be a debtor that you will not be unrighteous. It's not possible.